Alright, so before we get into the video, we're going to be talking about the Tszyu versus Steve Spark post-fight review. So, Tszyu destroys and knocks out Steve Spark in the third round and improves to 19 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 15 wins coming by way of knockout. So, my thoughts on it, I mean, I'm impressed, of Tszyu. Um, you do need to give respect to Steve Spark, he did only have like a week, like night. I don't even know, like a week, like even a week to train, and he did show heart into like the fight. Um, he did show that he wanted it, but I just think Tszyu was just too much for him. Um, so I believe Tszyu is lined up to face the winner of Charlo versus Castano, or Michael Zarafa. Me personally, I would rather see him fight Michael Zarafa. I think that he needs a one more step up fight before he fights people like Charlo or Castano. I feel like those guys are just like, I think they're just higher than him. I think both of them are better than him. I think both of them will actually defeat Tszyu. I would actually pick Charlo to stop Tszyu, and I would pick Brian Castano to beat him by a unanimous decision. But I think that they should reschedule the Michael Zarafa fight. I think that's a really good fight for him. Um, I would actually pick him to beat Zarafa. Um, you know, so um, I think that would be a very good fight for Tszyu. You know, maybe one more fight in Australia. But if he ends up fighting Charlo or Castano, I'd really like him to fight out of Australia, just to be fair. Because if they're gonna fight in Australia, it's gonna favor Tszyu because Tszyu is a very big fighter in Australia. So I hope that he fights out of Australia just to make it fair, because I don't think the media would like it if he fought in Australia against somebody like Charles or Castano. Um, but congratulations to Tszyu. So yeah, on to the video. Hey, what's up, y'all? Preston from Fight Media 360 here. So this is a quick fantasy fight preview and prediction for Subriel Matias versus Jeremias Nicolas Ponce. So before we get into all this, I just want to say this fight would be an amazing fight. I hope this fight happens in the near future. They're both outstanding pressure fighters. Subriel Matias, a very good pressure fighter, carries power, a lot of power. And I wouldn't say a lot of power. He has like that overwhelming power that's very dangerous, about him. And Ponce is a very aggressive fighter, and he's also a pressure fighter. So this would make a very good matchup and a very interesting fight. And I really hope this fight uh, happens in the near future. So yeah. So now we got that out of the way. So now let's talk about their stats and then what they need to do to win, and then my final prediction. So let's start off with Subriel Matias. So Subriel Matias has a record of 17 wins, 1 loss, 0 draws, 17 wins coming by way of knockout. He stands at a height of 5'8" with a 71.5-inch reach. Alright. And Jeremias Nicolas Ponce has a record of 28 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 18 wins coming by way of knockout. He stands at a height of 5'11" and has a reach of 71.5, I believe. Um, so yeah. So now we got that out the way. Now let's talk about what they need to do to win, and then my final prediction. So let's start off with Subriel Matias. Also, I just want to say, I know that Subriel has all 17 wins by KO, but all of his 17 wins came from TKOs. He never KO'd somebody. It all came from TKOs. He's still a monster. Sometimes like like Subriel Matias is a very dangerous fighter because he has that very overwhelming power, and he throws a lot of power shots. And he has power in both hands too, and that's very dangerous. We all know, like, what he's capable of. When he fought Maxim Dadashev, rest in peace. Um, you know, so yeah, so anyways, what I would like to see from Subriel Matias is like, be a pressure fighter how you usually are. Uh, throw hard shots how you are usually are, but also I would really like him to tear up the body of Jeremias Nicolas Ponce, because in my other video, like I believe like a month ago, um with the Ritson versus Ponce prediction, even though I predicted Ponce to win, I did say that he does leave his body quite open, and he does leave it wide open. And when he fought Ritson, even though he completely destroyed Ritson, um, he does keep his body wide open. So Bro Matias really needs to hurt that body of Nicolas Ponce, and then after that just go to the head and throw very hard shots against Ponce, and then um and then even though, like, if these guys ended up fighting, obviously, the person that would be throwing and landing the more punches would be Ponce, but the person that would be throwing the harder shots and the more like, effective shots, kind of like, hard shots, would be Subriel Matias. So yeah, so that's what Subriel Matias needs to do, is tear up that body, though, like, be a pressure fighter like you are, and just tear up the body and tear up the head of Ponce, because even though Ponce, I don't know if his chin been tested yet, because even though he beat up Ritson and was a complete one-sided fight, Ritson was hitting with a couple of shots, and it was, kind of getting Jeremias Ponce's attention. So Subriel Matias definitely needs to do that, but a lot more, and again, be a very, very, very aggressive pressure fighter like you are, and throw a lot of power shots against um Ponce. And also, the thing is that's so, like, fascinating about Subriel Matias is that he never, like, puts his body into his punches. He always does, like, those sweeping hooks, those, like, sweeping punches that are very, very hard. That, like, he has very hard sweeping hooks. You know, like, it's quite surprising of how hard he hits with his sweeping hooks. So I think those sweeping hooks and the aggressiveness and the punching power and the overwhelming power of Subriel Matias, I think that, like, he needs to use that kind of Subriel Matias and try to destroy Jeremias Ponce, and do what you did against Batir Jukambayev, you know just beat him up just and stop him. But also, don't let the fight between you and Dadashev get to your head. I know that it was very sad. I know that you know Matias was very bummed out and very depressed about what happened to Maxim Dadashev. Again, rest in peace to Dadashev. And he needs to, like, put that behind him and just go hard on Ponce and just try to stop Ponce. So that's what Subriel Matias needs to do to win. So now for Jeremias Nicolas Ponce. So what I would like to see from Ponce is, I would really like to see him again be a better pressure fighter than Matias, because Matias is a very dangerous fighter. He's a pressure fighter. You have that overwhelming power, just like what I said, and and he throws a lot of punches, and he needs to be careful of that. I'm not saying to just box. He needs to be the aggressive Ponce that he is, and pretty much just kind of overwhelm Matias with your pressure fighting, and kind of fight up close to Matias, land like the more shots. also land harder shots on Matias, and pretty much make the judges impressed from the work, and just pretty much just like don't look for the stoppage against Matias. I mean, like he definitely could stop Matias, but you know he definitely needs to be careful of Matias because Matias is a very dangerous fighter. So, like again, just be the pressure fighter that you are. Throw a lot of punches, and pretty much just like again what I said about Matias, tear up the body of Matias, and then go body to head, and then just pretty much just be the more aggressive fighter than Subriel Matias. Because again, if these guys ended up fighting, in my opinion, I think the one that would be throwing the more punches and landing the more punches would be Ponce, because Ponce overall does throw a lot more punches than Matias. And also, like, Jeremias Ponce does have a teensy bit of boxing skill, just a little bit, Like, it's not like world class or like, okay, like it's mediocre. It's not the greatest boxing skills, but whenever he ends up hurting you, he that's when he starts pressure fighting you. So, like, pretty much just pressure fight Matias. Don't just try to go and box Matias because that's not gonna look good against a guy like Matias. So he just needs to pressure fight Matias. Overwhelm Matias with the pressure fighting skills that he has, and then just if he wants to, he could just look for a finish against Matias. So yeah. So that's what Ponce needs to do to win. So yeah. So my final prediction for this fight, again, this would be a very, very, very entertaining fight. I hope this fight happens in the near future. This would be such a great scrap, Probably one of the fights of the year if these guys fought. This would be such a great fight. I can't wait for these guys to fight in the near future. But if I would have to pick one guy to win this fight, I would probably have to lean more towards Subriel Matias by a TKO either in the mid rounds or later rounds. I just think that the overwhelming power and the overwhelming pressure of Matias like will win him the fight, because that performance against Jukambayev, that was very impressive. Even though Jukambayev was a bit tailor made for him, Jukambayev is just like a forward fighter. He just likes to just like walk forwards and try to beat you up. But you shouldn't do that against a guy like Matias. And uh Jeremias Ponce does leave a lot of openings. And when you're fighting a guy like Matias and you're leaving a lot of openings, you're gonna lose, and you're probably gonna get stopped. So that's why I pick Subriel Matias to beat Jeremias Nicolas Ponce. So yeah. So that's my final prediction. I got Subriel Matias by a TKO in the mid or late rounds. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm Preston from Fight Media 360, and thank y'all for watching this video.